Hey everyone, I hope everyone's doing well over in Lakeville. I apologize for not being there live at your meeting. It was at 1:30 a.m. France time, so it wasn't going to work out, but I decided to film this little video, give you more insight into what my thoughts are regarding this potential clinic, and hopefully get your feedback and your questions from it. So I have a little presentation. Hopefully you guys will be able to see it through Zoom. I'll share my screen. Um, Okay, so I hope that Skip kind of gave you an insight into what I was thinking, but essentially, I'm proposing an FLSC summer clinic program run by myself. So the basic proposal would be to run a weekly skills clinic for the players of FLSC in order to encourage the players to stay engaged with the sport and the club throughout the summer months. A little bit more about myself for those of you that don't know me. My playing experience, I grew up playing in Lakeville for the program until about 14. And then I went over to Apponequet Regional High School, played my football there. After that, I played collegiately at Brown University, Division One in Rhode Island. And then I've been playing professionally for the last 3 years, and I'm currently playing in France at a club called Saint Etienne. And then in terms of coaching experience, every time I'm home for off season, I'm able to do some coaching work. Most recently, I've done my work with Scorpions. So I was a head coach for the U17 NPL Scorpions team. I've been private coaching for about, I don't know, 7 years now, from ages 9 to 22 years old. And then I have a plethora of youth coaching experience as well between Lakeville, Scorpions, Barrington Youth over in Rhode Island. And then last year I worked closely with the Middleborough program. So that's kind of the inspiration for this clinic this year. Was I was able to do a clinic with success last year in Middleborough, and I felt like, my hometown deserves something like that as well. So that's the idea behind it, and I kind of mimic the structure presentable here today from the success we had last year. And so the structure of this clinic, again, is super malleable. Whatever you guys think would run best for the program, I'm super open to hearing, but I just put together a small structure for this presentation with two different options. So the first option would be 1 day a week. The length would be an hour and 30 minutes. And then the age groups would be divided as follows on the PowerPoint. The second option would be similar, 1 day a week, but I would run two different sessions, both being 1 hour and 15 minutes per group. And this would completely divide them into two age groups, U5 through U9 or U10 through U14 or whatever you see fit, how the ages break down. You have more familiarity with that than I do, but essentially giving you two different structures to work with. But these are really dependent on the number of players that we would get, field space that I have to work with, and then the number of available volunteers. And with the volunteers, last year with Middleborough, we had about 6 volunteers for about 60 kids. Having those volunteers is really important. Obviously, I have one set of eyes. I can't see every single kid, and behavioral management is really what I would need those parents for. But I think it also has a benefit for those parents. They get to learn, the drills that they could run with kids, how a session flows. So there's beneficial factors for them as well. But yeah, those volunteers are super important for the efficiency of the clinic. And then in terms of session flow and content, I've been privileged to play at the highest level and also be coached at the highest level. So I want to bring some of that knowledge back to my hometown. And so with the session flow, it's pretty typical and pretty standard. You'd have a warm-up game to get them engaged. You'd have a practical skill each week, and then you would have a game that applies that skill within it, and then you have a mini scrimmage at the end. The mini scrimmage is super important, I think, for the kids to have free play, allowing them to, use what they learned during the session. And then the session content, I have a weekly theme each week. So for instance, it would be dribbling with speed. The theme is super applicable to each age group. I would just tweak little things here and there to obviously make sure the kids are getting the level of football that they need. So within the theme, you'd have an energizer. You'd then have a practical game, like I was saying, a gate dribble game with shark, something that the kids would enjoy, but also gets them to actually dribble with speed. And then you would have a skill game with dribbling with speed within that. So capture the ball, capture the flag. I'm sure you guys are familiar with these types of games. And then at the end, scrimmage, a smaller sided scrimmage for the kids to get a lot of touches on the ball. And so on the right, you can see what I whipped up last year for Middleborough, for the volunteers and for the head organization. It basically is just a session breakdown, details the coaching points, visualizes the actual drill, just so it's really self-explanatory and everything runs quite smoothly on the day of the session. And then what I would need to run this type of clinic, classic stuff, pennies, a generous amount of cones, 10 mini goals for the small sided scrimmages at the end. And then every kid would need a ball. I'm really big on 1 to a ball or 2 kids per 1 ball. So it's really crucial that we have enough balls for everybody. And then a water supply as a backup. I'm sure the kids bring their own waters, but should be safe in those summer months. And then, like I was speaking about with the staff, usually we'd have 1 to 2 parent volunteers for each age group, preferably 2. Really helps just to manage the kids, keep them engaged, and then actually run the drill itself. These folks don't need any soccer background. The drills are very self-explanatory. I go into depth on the sheet before that I would send out in an email. And yeah, I think it's a great learning experience for them anyways. So, and then finally, the program benefits. I think it keeps the families engaged to run a clinic throughout the summer months. I think it further develops the FLSC program. Like I said, I've had the privilege to coach and play at the highest level, and I think bringing that back to the town would be a great thing. Yeah, that's kind of the third point. And then it really exposes the kids within the town to a Lakeville alum that's had some success. I remember back in the day when we had a clinic at Ted Williams, they brought in some pro players, and yeah, it sticks in with me to this day. It's one of the reasons why I continued on and went on to achieve my dreams of playing professionally. And so I think it's crucial to have a figure that has been through and grew up in the environment and played in the environment that those kids are playing in now, and then also to see what can come of that. So those are the kind of the program benefits that I ran down. And then obviously I'm not there to answer your questions, but if Skip's there, he can answer on my behalf. We've spoke at length regarding this clinic, so I trust him to answer the best of his ability. But if not, you can always reach me on email or WhatsApp. Don't try and call my American number. It won't work. So WhatsApp or email is the best way. But I would love to answer all of your questions about the potential regarding this clinic. If you think it's feasible, if not, if so, we can move forward with it. And then, yeah, again, it's really malleable. This is just kind of what I had in mind and what I've done in the past, had success with. So I'd love to hear your feedback, and I appreciate you taking the time listening to me talk at you for the last 10 minutes. So yeah, hopefully we'll be in touch, and take care.